Muy buena gente, bienvenidos al canal y bienvenidos de nuevo a los Judgment. Bienvenidos a todos, a todas. Y nada chicos, seguimos por donde lo habíamos dejado. Voy a mover esto un poquito. Ahora. Vale, pues ya está. Ve a la agencia de detectives Yagami. Vamos a ver. ¿Tenemos cositas para poder subir? Sí. Vale, vamos a subir, a ver, tenemos 11.000. ¿Cómo estamos por aquí? En la serpiente, tío. Aquí. Vale, pues ya está. Ya está, tío, nos quedamos así. Vale, ¿dónde está eso? No, aquí no. Ahí. Está muy lejos, pero bueno. Vamos para allá. Por aquí. Bien, a ver qué tal se nos da hoy. Mira que son pesados, Venga, vamos. Hostia. Oye, tranquilo, Venga, hombre. Se acabó. Perfecto, tío. Vámonos. Bueno, allí hay más gente. Cómo mola, tío, la ciudad. Todo lleno de luces, de compras y restaurantes. Qué guapo, tío. ¿Qué es aquí? Vamos a ver qué quiere nuestro amigo Kawana. A ver qué pasa, chicos.
Hope you don't mind I let myself in. Now, are you gonna hold up your end and release Yui Mamiya? Come on. You and I can either try to make this work, or neither of us is gonna get what we want. So, you gonna make the call or what?
Hello? Yagami-san?
I'm with Kawana. You can let Mamiya-san go.
Got it. Will do.
Sorry about all this, Yagami. Why don't you sit down? Maybe it's time you and I had a heart-to-heart. How's Kaito holding up?
Kaito-san's recovering in the hospital. For now. Sawa-sensei is another story, though.
I can hardly believe it. She was the last person I wanted to get mixed up in all this shit.
If that's the case, why were you already waiting in her apartment? RK's top men were lying in wait over there to get their hands on you. So why was she the one lying on the ground? Answer me, Kawana. Was it because of you?
Would you feel better if it was?
How dare you?
You're thinking that if you hadn't stuck your nose in her affairs, she might be at home grading her papers right now. You tell me. Is that what's eating away at you right now? Because if it is, you're mistaken. That guilt is mine alone to bear. It's my burden to carry. When I saw on the news that she had been murdered in cold blood, it felt like the whole world had stopped spinning to me. I would take it all back right now if I could. But unfortunately, to fix this, I'd need to turn the clock back further than you'd think.
You mean back to when you were a school teacher?
Yeah, basically. Back to when I still had a little faith in humanity. Seeing someone's life get cut short, you never really bounce back from it, do you? But I don't have to tell you that. I did my homework on you, Yagami. It seems you were a fairly accomplished lawyer. You even scored a murder acquittal. But we both know how that ended. The death of an innocent young woman.
Y este fue del primero, tío.
You and I are the same. We both have scars. And they're the type of scars that never fully heal.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
But for Sawa-kun, it was 13 years ago. The very day before Mitsuru Kusamoto jumped, she stopped me in the hall so she could tell me about how serious the bullying really was. Up until that day, I just assumed it was boys being boys, teasing. I figured it was harmless, that they'd get bored with it, and then they'd move on. I mean, come on. Kawai had to have been twice the size of Mitsuru. It's not like I'd seen any fighting, so I warned him not to overdo it. And eventually he would take the hint.
Well, according to what I was told, you smirked, actually.
Yeah, I guess that's what I did. I was too late. Sawa-kun had to point it out. Sensei, how could you be so blind, she asked. Her eyes were this piercing mix of pity and scorn. According to what she told me, nearly half the class was bullying Mitsuru. She said she'd seen him at the station. She made it sound like he had half a mind to jump onto the tracks right then and there.
Hostia, no parece el tío, macho.
I'm not so presumptuous anymore. But back then, I used to think my students were my biggest fans. I thought I'd won their hearts and minds. But the look on Sawa-kun's face that day made me see the truth. I couldn't just go on smiling like nothing happened. So I decided to do my homework. The next day, I put a hidden camera in the classroom after school.
Así que consiguió el vídeo del acoso. Se las ingenió para grabar el aula a escondidas.
So you admit that you're the one who recorded that video?
Yeah. You saw it, right? Talk about the ugly side of kids. Hard to watch, wasn't it? Unfortunately, by the time I picked up the camera and saw what it recorded, Mitsuru had made his jump. I missed him by a few crucial moments. What happened in that classroom was the final straw. Later on, all the bullies were asked what happened. Each and every one of them lied. Kawai started it. It wasn't our idea, they said. To anyone outside of it, all they'd seen was Kawai forcing Mitsuru to do his bidding. So the people held culpable were Kawai and myself. The callous homeroom teacher who deliberately turned a blind eye. That was the day I began living my life with real purpose.
So you couldn't forgive your students who got away with bullying. You went so far. You put aside your own life to make sure they atoned somehow.
That's right. Mitsuru Kusamoto's still a vegetable. He's as good as dead. But I don't care. We have no right to forget about him.
You say that, even though Sawa-sensei ended up paying for it. I'll ask you again. Why were you at her apartment the other day? Don't dodge the question this time.
I wouldn't say I dodged it. But I suppose I should explain from the beginning. 4 years ago, there was a suicide at Sawa-kun's school. It was her own student this time. You know this, right? A student at Seiryo High School? Toshiro Ehara.
Yeah.
When she was in court, Sawa-kun had no choice but to say there wasn't any bullying. Soon as she told me that, I knew Hiro Mikoshiba would be my next target. Of course, she had no idea about any of that. When Sawa-kun learned Mikoshiba had been murdered, though, she reached out to me herself.
What did she want?
She had a sneaking suspicion that I was involved in his death. She called me a few times, prodding carefully for answers. Quite the perceptive lady, really.
And? What kind of answers did you give her?
I denied any knowledge of it, but at one point, she mentioned something kind of odd. That there was a detective at the school already investigating the incident.
Huh?
She meant you, of course. A detective already knee-deep into the case, despite the police barely even knowing about Mikoshiba.
Entonces Agua fue quien le comentó a Kawana que yo había ido al centro.
The police are a pain in the ass. But when an out-of-town detective comes sniffing around, that's bad. I knew I had to act fast to get you off the trail. Although, Sawa-kun was a problem too. I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone.
And then what?
First, I found out where the two of you would be meeting up, at that little cafe. Then, I hired the Leo monk to step in. But you put up one hell of a fight. They had strength in numbers, but you would have taken out the whole group if I hadn't stepped in. Nonetheless, my other message went through. At the same time, Sawa-kun was handed a photo of Mikoshiba's final moments. I left that task to someone you know. Yue Mamiya. They hadn't seen each other in 13 years. Sawa-kun had no idea.
The lady in the sunglasses. Yui Mamiya was involved in that too?
Everything I did that night was intended as a warning to Sawa-kun. Although, I guess I didn't have to be so extreme about it.
Yeah. Sawa-sensei was too smart. She must have started suspecting that you'd had something to do with Mikoshiba's murder. After all, who else could have known we'd be meeting at that cafe? She'd have traced it right back to you.
Even if Sawa-kun had started to suspect me, I knew she wouldn't sell me out to the cops. We're too alike. The both of us lost students to suicide on our watch. That said, I couldn't bear the thought of dragging her down into the mess I started, so I scared her off, and I thought she would stay away. The day she was killed, she called to ask if we could speak in person. I could tell something was wrong. She was on the verge of tears the whole call. Then she broke down. I asked her why, of course, but she wouldn't give me a straight answer no matter how I tried to phrase the question.
So then what? Did you just waltz on over there? It doesn't seem like you.
Watch it. You don't know me well enough to say that.
Maybe. But I assume you had some sort of plan going in. Were you gonna confess to her?
Here's the thing. If she'd figured out that I was behind Mikoshiba, and it didn't sit well with her, I would have told her every last detail. Sawa-kun knew. I think she would have understood me. Or at least that's what I had believed. In hindsight, I think she was forced to make that call. Under normal circumstances, I'm sure she'd have rather washed her hands of me. Hard as it is to hear, I think she called me under duress. RK probably had her hostage. That would explain the vague responses. That's probably why her voice was trembling. It's tragic.
You mean it was RK? Why do they want you so badly anyway?
I don't know.
What?
If I knew their angle, I'd be doing more than just scurrying around.
You serious?
Believe me, I'm just as clueless as you are, much as I hate to admit it. Honest, I'm not thrilled that a small army wants my head on a platter. Have you noticed how RK seems to show up at the worst possible times? Someone must be pulling their strings.
Then we're on the same page. At least we agree on something.
Just a sec. Yeah. I'm still over here with Yagami-san. You're not being tailed by any of his guys, are you? Okay. Then I'll meet you right now. That was Mamiya-kun. She said she's free. You guys have been true to your word. Tell Sugiura-kun that I said thank you.
Now you want to go? We still have some business to settle here.
Now remember, I'm the handyman here. Let me do the dirty work. I don't know what else to tell you. But you need to get out. While you still can.
If you disappear into the night, I don't want to go busting my ass just to find you again. Before you leave, I'll need some contact info. A phone number would be nice.
Oh, no need for that. As far as I'm concerned, this is goodbye.
I wouldn't count on that.
Anda. Hostia, que tengo que ir a por de... Míralo.
Hold up.
A por él. Ya estamos con esto, tío. Venga, vamos. Bien. 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 Hasta luego, Lucas. Ah, mira, podría haberle tirado eso. Bien, buena. Bien. Bien, vamos. Bien, vamos. Bien. No, no, no. Cabula mar, tío. Se me va, Venga, vamos, tío. Menos mal. Tema, vamos, machote. Vale, buena. Que usted le he pegado, Joder, siempre son los mismos, tío. Venga, si ya tiene que estar la dos. Ya está. Bien, ya, tío. ¿Otra vez?
Get back here. What the? Where'd he go?
Mírale por dónde va, como las ratillas. ¡No!
You guys again. You really need the masks? Come on, Kurakawa kids.
You heard that, right? The detective here already knows everything.
Kawana!
What are you going to do now? What do you think happens when he spills everything? Sounds like your lives are over, unless you shut him up.
But Sensei, you'll finish the job for us, right?
Huh? Is that you, Akihiro?
Oh, he's even got a name to your voice.
Answer me, Sensei!
I know, I know. I'll be the one to finish it. You just knock him out.
Okay then. Time to learn your lesson.
A ver si podéis conmigo, venga.
Come on. What kind of lesson is this?
¿Qué clase de educación es esta? Vamos allá. Vamos. Vamos. Bien. Venga, se acabó. Hecho, tío.
Kawana? Oh no, Kawana!
Que viene alguien. ¡No!
Really? So nice of you to stick around. Mamiya-san. Well, since Kawana couldn't stay, sounds like you're not out of the woods just yet, huh?
Qué guapo, tío. Cómo mola el juego, chaval. Dando una lección. No me dejas sobreescribir. Macho, tienes que... Aquí. Vale, ya está.
13 years in the past. Mitsuru Kusimoto plunged himself into a coma, sealing his fate alongside Kawana's. Ridden by guilt, Kawana sets off on a path of vengeance, and the bullies he drags with him are shackled to the shadows. However, Yokosawa's murder serves as a deadly wake-up call to what he's done.
Capítulo 10, cacería. Bueno, ahora lo veis ahí ahora. Como bajé un poquito la webcam, lo podéis ver. Pero vamos, que los nombro yo todo, ¿eh? Pues si acaso alguien no sabe leer. ¿Sabe? No, hombre. Pero bueno, se puede dar el caso, claro. Que venga alguien sin saber leer.
Hey. What are you doing?
Getting your identification on record, so you won't be a threat to us anymore?
What?
And I think you owe us after everything you've done. Expect me to come collect one of these days. Your carriage awaits, Mamiya-san.
Don't tell me we're going back to that dingy arcade.
We sure are. But try not to hold a grudge. It wasn't us who abandoned you.
Qué bueno.
Higashi, you already called Saori-san and the gang, right?
Yeah, I let them know what's up. They said they'll head over when they're ready.
Did Shirosaki-sensei say anything?
Well, she was pretty stunned when I told her who Kawana really is and what he's up to.
Sounding a little smug there, Higashi-san. Taking credit for the detective work you didn't even do? Back me up here, Yagami-san.
Whatever, man. Kawana got away, and that's all that matters. Still, the task in front of us is finishing Saori-san's case. We have to clear up Ehara's crime once and for all. With Mamiya-san's help, of course.
Finally, I'm ready to get some answers. Well, we still got time till Shirosaki-sensei gets here. Why don't you take a breather, Yagami-san?
Huh? That'd be okay?
Sure. I'll call you once everyone's here.
Yeah, a break sounds good.
By the way, Higashi, has anything unusual gone down in Kamacho lately? Anything involving RK?
Yeah, about that. My guys are saying things have been a little too quiet since yesterday. Soma and Akutsu are out in Ijincho too. When they come back, they're in for a rude awakening. And they can pay for what they did to Kaito Aniki.
Make them pay? Aren't your Yakuza days behind you now?
That's not the Yakuza in me talking. That's just a problem I'm gonna be the solution for.
Isn't that exactly what a Yakuza would say?
Fine. Think of it as getting revenge for a brother. I'm doing the right thing, damn it!
Yeah, maybe it's just how you're putting it.
Besides, what's it matter if I was Yakuza? I've got my own code, and I'm gonna do right by me.
Whatever you say. Much as things change, they stay the same.
Aprovechar este descanso para dar una vuelta por el barrio. Ir a pasar el rato a algún lado. Pues ya veremos, Mata el rato por el barrio. Pobrecito, ¿quién será ese rato? No, hombre, es broma. ¿Esto qué es, tío? Recuerdos. De coreano, conjunto. Compro uno. Quizá uno. Pez erizo. Qué guapo, cómo mola. Vale, vamos. Qué recuerdos, claro, es que en el Duno, tío. Claro, es que está todo relacionado. Bueno, vámonos. Observar, ¿no? ¿Qué podemos hacer, tío? Mira, ya hay gente. A por ellos. ¡Yo os crujo a todos! Venga, vamos. Venga, va. Se acabó. Otros 800. Vale, resina transparente. Muelle robusto. Bien, vamos a subir de habilidades. Tenemos 18.000. Nos vamos a centrar en el... Vale. Alto seguro nivel 2. Vale, y 6.000. Prefiero parada impresionante. Si logras bloquear, aumenta la probabilidad de asustar al enemigo. Vale, pues ya estaría. Muy bien. ¿Qué hacemos ahora? Nos vamos a cenar, por ejemplo. Bueno, allí hay más gente, ¿no? Aquí hay algo. Espérate. A ver si vienen estos. Venga, vamos. Cómo mola esa, tío. Si os dais cuenta, tío, no han tenido que quitar nada del 1, Al caso, han tenido que poner más. Han tenido que poner el estilo de la serpiente, tío. Eso es lo que más mola. ¿Qué pasa ahí? Hace poco fui al cine con mi churri. ¿Por qué a los chicos les flipa tanto las pelis de superhéroes? No son muy realistas, que digamos. A mí me interesan las pelis románticas. Total. Aunque si aparece mi actor favorito, no le hago caso. Sí, yo igual. Una palabra clave, el cine. Vale, vamos. Hay más gente. Venga, vamos. Bien, China. Plato barato. Vale, fuera. Bien, otros 800.
And stay down.
Vale, ¿esto qué es? ¿Cómo estoy de vida? Ah, tengo muy poco. Podemos hacer... Pasa el rato. O sea, ¿qué hacemos? Ahora ya.
Hey, Yagami-san, it's Sugiura.
Hey.
Shirosaki-sensei and the others just got to Charles. They're getting ready to grill Mamiya-san.
Got it. Then I'll head back soon.
Thanks.
Vale, estoy aquí al lado. Así que en cuanto vuelva a los recreativos, mi mamilla responderá a todas y cada una de mis preguntas. Pues tienes razón. Vámonos. Cogemos esto. Y para los recre. Vale, a ver.
Really? You too, Genda-sensei?
What? Am I in the way?
Of course not. I didn't know you still did field work.
I figured if they could pull a fast one on Saori-kun, I'd at least want to look him in the eye.
Why are all these people here? What gives?
We've been waiting for you, Yagami-san. Mamiya-san is about to enlighten us on the truth behind the groping.
Good.
Oh, and I heard about Sawa-sensei. I'm so sorry.
Our condolences.
Looks like she got mixed up in all this when RK was chasing after Kawana. But we're still not sure why they chased him. To figure that out, we'll have to retrace Kawana's steps.
Exactly.
That said, let's start with the harassment charges, Mamiya-san.
Muy bien. ¿Ahora qué? Interroga.
Fine.
Va.
Let's get this over with.
Pout all you want, but keep the answers straight. Got it?
Ehara's assault was designed to establish a false alibi for Miko Shiba's murder. So Kawana had you play the victim, and together you pulled one over on the police and the court.
Can you confirm if this is all accurate so far, please?
Yeah.
The person who groped you on the train wasn't Ehara-san himself. It was his stand-in. And my understanding is that he had conspirators to help him fabricate this event?
That's right.
What was Kawana doing at the time? Was he in Ijincho or Tokyo?
Didn't you hear your lady friend? Ehara-san had a stand-in. And that stand-in was our sensei.
You mean Kawana posed as Ehara himself? So this Ehara was actually Kawana. Huh.
Sensei and Ehara-san have a pretty similar build. Not sure they could have pulled it off otherwise, you know?
But some spots don't look right, like his mouth. You sure that's really Kawana-san?
That part around his mouth is fake. He said he scanned Ehara-san's face and made it on a 3D printer.
Oh, huh.
You can print things in 3D now?
Well, it's a machine that takes a model's data from a computer and prints physical objects using materials like resin. So if you were to scan a person's face onto a computer, a 3D printer could accurately recreate it.
I don't know the details, but that's what Sensei used to become Ehara-san.
Something like this. See, with a 3D printer, a piece of a face is pretty easy to make.
What the hell?
I see. His eyes are hidden behind the sunglasses. And
El
the
hombre se
seams
queda
on his
loco.
jaw are obscured by the mask.
It's incredible, I must say. With the mouth area so visible, it's too convincing to think he's anybody else. And with the prosecution assuming he's just another sexual predator, they fell for it.
This is no time to be impressed. In case you forgot, he had the defense fooled too.
Right.
Assuming Kawana was Ehara's double, there's still some evidence I'm iffy about.
I'm of the same opinion.
Okay. Which evidence is questionable?
Le apretaré los tornillos a yo y mamilla con esta prueba. Es hora de desvelar la verdad sobre el abuso sexual. ¡Fua! A ver, esto.
Any thoughts after seeing this?
Stop it.
You're gonna look away? You aided and abetted by playing the victim, didn't you?
I mean, yes,
Who put this video up on the internet?
Sensei did. He said from the start that once Ehara-san got his guilty verdict, he'd upload it to the internet.
So that was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Sensei can't forgive the law for how easy it lets off bullies. Ehara-san's the same way. His son's death was brushed aside. The court blamed his suicide on unknown factors. And that's what led them to his whole plan. The real victim is some bully who never got what he deserved, and the killer gets off in court by being convicted of battery. How would the public respond after finding out they'd gamed the law like that?
So Kawana and Ehara's real plan was to make a mockery out of the justice system.
Seems to be going well for them. The courts are beside themselves for dragging the police into this.
I guess Ehara really was desperate. He was never concerned about his own punishment. He tarnished his own name to humiliate the law.
Yeah, cop or not, Ehara is a broken man. Nobody took responsibility for his son's death. The courts all but ignored his case. No wonder he went along with Kawana.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Sensei and Ehara-san are the perfect pair with nothing to lose. The only ones who do are the ones forced to comply. Us. Speaking of which, are we done here yet?
Le apretaré los tornillos con esta prueba. Es hora de desvelar la verdad sobre el abuso sexual. Esta, a ver.
This came out pretty clearly.
Uh-huh.
So the guy in the back is Kawana posing as Ehara, right?
Yes. And he actually didn't lay a finger on me. His prints couldn't show up.
Sounds like you had a hell of a time getting this set up.
I didn't. But Sensei sure did.
Esta nada tampoco. Entonces ese tampoco, tío. A ver esto.
This piece of the puzzle still needs an explanation.
Is that...
The police examined the trace evidence on Ehara's hands after he was caught. And from the analysis, the same fibers from Mamiya-san's undergarments were found on Ehara's hands.
That's right. If the stand-in was the groper, Ehara-san wouldn't have touched Mamiya-san at all. But the evidence on Ehara-san's hands suggests otherwise. Rather strange, isn't it?
I take it there was a trick to this, too?
That's simple. Before I got on the train, I met with the real Ehara-san at the underground platform. That's when I had him touch the undergarment. After that, all I had to do was go to the bathroom and put them on. That's where the fibers in the trace were from.
Fijaos, ¿no? Final y ella falsificaron las pruebas de abuso sexual mucho antes de que tuviera lugar.
What the police found on Ehara-san's hands was exactly what we wanted them to find. And it would serve as hard proof he grabbed me. The courts really ate it up. It was hard not to laugh sometimes, to be honest.
You're really starting to open up. That's the spirit.
Vale, con esta prueba es hora de desvelar la verdad sobre el abuso sexual. ¿Esa tampoco? Bueno, pero nos va contando cosas, tío. Tarjeta de transporte. A ver la tarjeta. ¿Qué nos dice de esto?
How about this then?
And this is?
Before the incident, Ehara used this card to go through the ticket gate at Ikebukuro, the time of which was recorded.
Right, and it was on October 7th at 7:43 a.m.
Thanks, Hoshino-kun.
Happy to help, Yagami-san.
At the earliest, Mikoshiba's time of death would have been 7:30 a.m. If Ehara killed Mikoshiba in Ijincho, he would have only had 13 minutes to get to Ikebukuro. And frankly, that's impossible.
That's what's stumping you?
Huh?
Sensei borrowed the card from Ehara-san beforehand and passed through the gate. Afterward, he slipped it back to Ehara-san when they switched places. That way, Ehara-san ended up having the time-stamped card on him. Makes sense now.
So even the entry time through the ticket gate was used as part of the alibi?
It all seems so obvious now that I hear it. Nobody'd suspect that a groping was being used as an alibi for murder.
Yeah. And on top of all that, no one knew Mikoshiba had been killed during the trial. They really pulled it off.
Anything else?
Yagami-san, you sure that's enough?
Yeah, I think we've got plenty. Bottom line, groping was a fabrication. At the very least, we know that the prosecution's evidence can all be refuted.
The courts were being intentionally misled. I'm considering filing an appeal.
Are you saying you want a retrial?
I am. We'll reveal Ehara and Kuwana's plot and overturn the verdict they issued.
That might be harder than it sounds.
Why do you say that, Genda-sensei?
Well, the previous trial resulted in Ehara being found guilty, right? As the client, if he doesn't want an appeal, there's no way you're getting one. Doesn't matter what any lawyer tries to do. If Ehara refuses to appeal, then that's that.
And we'll talk to him tomorrow. First, we need to see how he reacts to everything we've got on him.
Sounds good. Then let's meet at the detention center tomorrow.
Muy bien.
Will do.
So, we done for the night?
Sure are. Great job, everyone. Go get some rest.
Vale, gente.
Yo, Yagami. You sure it was cool to let that Mamiya chick just go home?
Yeah? Why?
I mean, she helped Kuwana kill all those people. Aren't you gonna turn her in or something?
I would. There's nothing we can do.
Nothing we can do?
Frankly, we don't have any proof of the murder she was talking about.
What, so this is all for nothing?
Nothing directly pointing to Mamiya anyway. Aside from Mikoshiba, no other bodies turned up. Which means all we can do is take her home, right? Sugiura is making sure she gets back safe.
Fine, forget it. Why are you still here? Everyone else went home already.
Come on, man, why the cold shoulder? Am I really that annoying?
You wouldn't be the guy I'd call to hang out with. So if you're done, then go.
Wow. Straight for the jugular, huh?
But if it's help you need, I'll be there. I've had nothing but time lately. But only if you bow your head and ask nice. Then I'll consider it.
I know for a fact you'd help me out regardless, so why waste a good bow? Thanks for the drink.
Dude, come on. That was your cue to bow and ask nice.
Muy bien, gente. Pues ya, bueno, vamos a ir terminando ya el capítulo de hoy. Mañana voy a entrevistar a Ehara con Saori. Hora de volver a casa. Bueno, vamos para casa y lo dejamos ya allí. ¿Dónde hay que ir? Aquí. Joder, está un poco lejos, Venga, vámonos. Vámonos por la casa. Qué pesados sois, tío. Me cago en la leche. Vamos. Acaba de volar el tío ese. Venga, vamos. Son muy gordos, tío. Vamos, vamos. Venga, se acabó. Buena, tío. Muelle robusto. Vale. Tranquilo, vámonos. No sé si habrá más gente hasta que lleguemos a casa. Ahí viene más gente, tío. Macabras, macarras serán, digo yo. Toma, que le he pegado. Y el coche ahí pasando. Mira, me subo encima del coche y todo. Venga, fuera. Y otro. Fuera, campeón. Vale, nos vamos, chicos. Más gente va por allí, pero aprende nuevas habilidades. Vale, luego las aprenderé. Joder, esto lo hacía. Este trayecto me acuerdo que lo hacía un mogollón de veces, tío. En el 1. Ya paso. Bueno, venga. Vamos. Pesaos, que ya os voy a dar caña. Hostia, acabo de reventar la moto, tío. Oh, cómo ha molado esa. Vale, fuera. Mira, ella está aplaudiendo y todo. La que está allí, tío. ¿Cómo me aplaude? Por aquí, por aquí. Ya me acuerdo del dinero, tío. ¿Qué ha pasado? Ha habido ahí un trueno o algo. Se va a poner a llover, tío. Descansa en la agencia. Vamos a descansar y lo dejamos llamar. Descansa. Descansa en el sofá. Bien, vamos allá. Otros 1000. Es hora de que Saori y yo entrevistemos a Nara. Cogeré un taxi hasta el centro de detención de Tokio. Vale, pues aquí, gente, lo dejamos ya por aquí, chicos. Y nada, espero que os haya gustado el capítulo. Nos vemos en el siguiente. Muchas gracias por dar apoyo a esta serie, chicos. O bueno, o cuando la veáis, cuando queráis. Y nada, muchas gracias a todos. Nos vemos, un saludo. Chao.